recording, so it doesn't take you out of the meeting. So good evening, everyone. My name is Shego, and I'm your host tonight. Today we are talking about monetizing your intellectual property. Today is Sunday, the 28th day of September 2025, 8 p.m. West African time. And we have no other person than the best of breed, Dr. Teemac Omatshola Iseli, who will be taking us through this session at this moment. I would like to read his profile, so please follow me as I read his profile, and then I'll hand over to him to take us through. And of course, during the course of this meeting, we're going to be playing a very fantastic piece from him that he released. And I'm sure you're going to have a great time of learning and a great time of education. So Dr. Teemac combined his first degree in economics from the University of St. Gallen in Switzerland with a specialization in classical music, concert performance, and philharmonic composition at the University of Lausanne. Went back to earn a master's degree in finance in 1999 and returned to Nigeria in 1970. Took up employment with Union Trading Company, UTC, a Swiss overseas company with department stores, sliding doors, and Venetian blind factories as a youngest manager in the history of UTC. He became the Nigerian hardware industry manager, returned to Switzerland in 1972 to work with UBS till 1974, and after a couple of hit records, returned in 1976 to Nigeria to invest in club businesses, a quarry business in Abeokuta, and registered Allied Minerals Limited and Teemac Petroleum Limited for export of petroleum products. Over the years, Dr. Teemac invested in and formed the following companies: Allied Minerals Limited, Cascotan Mining and Processing Limited, a processing plant in Buari FCT, Abuja. He is the chairman of Teemac Petroleum Nigeria Limited, local content company to his foreign partners. Chairman of Teemac Productions, owns a recording studio, musical production, and concert management. Chairman of the board of the Teemac Hemla Foundation, to build music schools for the underprivileged youths of Nigeria. I think that started in 2012. Corporate trainer to Trafford Corporation Canada, medium-term notes trading platform 2013. Chairman of ACC, Anti-Counterfeiting Collaboration and Association of Trademark Owners for 4 years, now Chairman Publicity. Chairman, the Entertainment Foundation of Nigeria, umbrella of all the Entertainment Association of Nigeria, Music and Films. Chairman, Entertainment Cooperative Society, Multipurpose Society, Entertainment Database Nigeria Limited, Director in Hemla Ogoni Resources Limited, Director in D&H Energy Limited, and the West African representative of Daewoo. Advisor to NOR Energy AS Norway, Director Brim Energy Nigeria Limited, Hemla Norway Gas and Oil Solutions, and shareholder in James Bay Energy Nigeria Limited. Director and Country Manager, Petronor E&P Limited 2019 to 2024. Director and shareholder in Skyline Creation Australia 2019 to 2023. Dr. Teemac Iseli is at the moment working with a joint venture group, Westminster Dredge and Hemla, on the cleanup of Ogoni land. Is involved with the 600 communities affected by the Bonga oil spill. Dr. Teemac Omatshola Iseli is part of the ongoing medium-term note trading transaction, IPACT World, creating funds for humanitarian purposes, hostels for universities in Nigeria, an industrial park in the Niger Delta, and small-scale business in the oil spills affected of the Niger Delta to create employment. Dr. Teemac Omatshola Iseli was appointed in 2024 by Dr. Boyd Chimhom as Director of Finance, Atlantic Seaport City and Cargo Terminal Limited, Akwa Ibom. This project is meant to ease the congested Apapa and Tinkan Island ports in Lagos and enable mining companies to export their products with ease. Also, the food basket of Nigeria is the northern region, and the manufacturing areas in the south-south will benefit from a new port. Respectfully, help me welcome Dr. Teemac Omatshola Iseli, MFR. Please help me
Thank,
welcome him.
thank you, thank you, thank you. But I must say, my life is not as boring as what you just heard. That's the business side. Now, let me, in a few minutes, give you the music side. I was born in Nigeria
Yeah.
from a Kiri mother, princess, and my father was a Swiss ambassador. When my father was assassinated, I was small, my family sent me to my father's country, Switzerland, where I had my education. At the age of 7, I said, I want to play that flute. And they said, why? I said, well, that is my dream. In a previous life, I think I played the flute already. So I actually started at the age of 8 to study with a private teacher flute. They went to the music academy in Zurich. I was always doing business and music at the same time. While I was studying economics, I was also doing my master's on the flute as a concert flautist. I had to double on the guitar and voice. And when I finished my education, I came back to Nigeria. And as you said, I became the youngest manager in UTC. But at the same time, I formed my first band called Teemac and Afro Collection. I was working in the daytime, rehearsing at night. I had notable musicians like Tunde Kuboye on the bass, Lalu Akins on the drums, Johnny Astrop on the keyboard, Lichadu Sisters as backup, Steve Black as male voice, Berkeley Jones at the guitar, and Friday Pozo on the conga. And we had a small nightclub on Broad Street called Batakoto. We created an Afro pop, Afro jazz band, very modern, but Yakubu Gowon liked the band. So he gave us official state banquet to play. And I must say, Nigeria was a wonderful place then in the 70s, you know, no armed robbery, no NEPA problem. You could go out when you went. A bottle of beer was few cents. And then came the number one drummer in the world of a band called Cream. Eric Clapton, Jack Bruce, and Ginger Baker. He met me, he met Fela, sat in, filmed with everybody, and then he just signed my whole band on behind my back. I just lost my band. First, I was very angry, depressed, but then something in me said, go back to Europe, you know. You have to, Nigeria is interesting. I've toured all over, I love it, but let me try Europe. And there I worked with Shell while I was building up my next band called Teemac United. Now, Teemac United was a very interesting band. I had musicians from all over the world, a Swiss drummer, a Dutch keyboard player, a Canadian bass player, and a very tight group. Again, we were in those days into I would say Afro pop funk, but later on it was called disco. Polydor gave me a contract and I did my first album called United in Germany. Because we were well rehearsed and had surplus time, my producer called Kunze said, let's do something called KISS. KISS means keep it simple, stupid. It's kind of elevator music, light entertainment music being played in supermarket, just, you know, background music. And I'm very good in orchestration, strings, because I studied philharmonic music. And so a couple of those songs became world hits. One, especially one called Fly, Robin, Fly, up to the sky. You can Google it. Fly, Robin, fly, up to the sky. Get up and boogie. It's sold in the millions. And so I had to change from my name, Teemac United, to Silver Convention after my silver flute. And we toured the world twice. We made a lot of money. It was a fantastic time. a little bit stressful, you know. That's where I met the Jacksons. We had a fantastic manager called Jim Bishop. And Jim Bishop managed the Temptations, the OJs, Teddy Pendergrass, the Jacksons, Silver Convention, etc., etc. And Marlon Jackson is still today, and Tito, my friends. They are coming regularly to Nigeria. We have a project. And I came back home for Festac 77. I was a little bit tired of touring the world playing the same disco songs. And because I had made a lot of money, I invested into business. First with my uncle Hope Harriman into importation of rice, champagne, all kind of things. And I opened up the Surulere nightclub in Surulere, a 2,000-seater. And that's where I will then start my presentation of intellectual property, because in the earlier 70s, late 60s, we just got about 20 cents per album. Everybody had bad record deals. The record companies were rip-off companies. But when you compose music, you got your composition rights. And if you wrote the lyrics, you had both the rights for lyrics, the rights for music, and that was registered. And up till today, I still collect from those days rights because they're registered. And my grandchildren will enjoy my rights because the law says until 70 years after your death, the royalties are still being paid, and then it becomes free. Like if you play Mozart now, Beethoven, or Tchaikovsky, you don't pay to the family composition rights. It's free. So I would like to go to introduce now the definition, the different types of intellectual properties, because we have in Nigeria, and mostly in Africa, a lot of famous musicians who are old and they are poor, and they have unfortunately been ripped off by record companies. I shouldn't mention their names, but I mentioned their name. They were called EMI, they were called Decca, they were called Polynor, and so on. They just sign you on. You don't know what you're signing. They give you a little advance, and then your whole life you pay back the advance. You actually don't make money, except with your live concerts. But again, live concerts in Africa are not as profitable than abroad because there's no syndication, there's hardly any television coverage. I had the Teemac show in 83, 84, where I was paid in those days a fantastic fee of $2,000 per episode, which will be like 3 million now per week. But I had to write off my rights. That was a problem in Nigeria. Now, when you did something for TV, you signed an undertaking that you cannot claim rights on the amount of people watching it. That has all changed now. As an example, I organized with Alaji Atiku the Clinton Gala Night. President Clinton came to Nigeria in the year 2000, and in Abuja, I organized the gala night, and we had I invited Sonia Ade to play two numbers, Onyeka, Zaki, and my band. And we all had to write an undertaking that we cannot claim royalties because we were live on CNN, live on Reuters, which is 3,200 TV stations. And they said it is too cumbersome to pay us our composition rights because it's a few cents they have to pay per performance. Like if I play in a nightclub or in a concert hall, I submit a list of my songs, and the promoter pays to the collective society a certain amount for the composers. If I'm the composer, end of the year, I collect it. So there are different types of intellectual property. Since I am more into music, of course, I'm interested in the copyrights of music. There's literature, there's films, there's software, photography. There are trademarks, logos, slogans, brand identity, patents, inventions, processes, machines, industrial design, product shapes, fashion packaging, trade secrets, business methods. They are all part of intellectual property. I mean, if you write a book, you collect your intellectual property, the publisher has to pay it. Now you have to ask yourself the question, yeah, but who is collecting for you? In Nigeria, we only have one legally society. I'm a director, and it has existed for 18 years. COSON has no license at the moment, so if you register with COSON, it can work. It's called assignee company. I can ask my lawyer, please, I give you the rights to collect my rights all over the world, and then he takes a commission. But that's not as effective as when you are with MCSN, because the Musical Copyright Society has bilateral agreements with about 2,200 collective society. Every country collects royalties. Every country has a computer system. Radio stations have to sign up. Every radio station should submit every day a list of the songs they played, and then a token is paid to the collective society. Now, multi-choice was our big enemy. MCSN went to court for 7 years against multi-choice because they were using on multi-channels Nigerian musicians, songs, etc., films without paying. After 7 years, we won and got 3.5 billion naira, which we shared under the members. Even if you were not played with your music, but when you are a member of MCSN, you have a right to the pool amount. Pool amount is we give every musician who is a member of MCSN a certain amount. It was between 1.5 and 3 million everyone got. But we also have the computer system where anything played by any station is recorded and you get your composition rights. So keep in mind, when you are a creator of music, register your music. There are many ways you can. You can go into MCSN, fill the forms, submit the name of the songs and a copy, and it goes into the computer system, and every time it's played, you get a reward for it. It is so sophisticated that we trace nowadays the internet. A couple of years ago, it was really bad. People were Bluetoothing to each other music. Hardly anybody downloaded legally. I'll give an example. I lecture occasionally in universities, philharmonic composition or master classes. And at the University of Nsukka, I said to the music department, how many of you have a phone? 300 hands went up. I said, how many of you have downloaded music on your phones? 300 hands went up. I said, how many of you honestly have paid? 2 hands went up. That means they used their daddy's credit card to pay for it. And that is not very honest towards the composers. But nowadays, we have platforms who control it. If you're not part of those platforms, you cannot download. You have even the possibility now with your Naira card to pay. Now, the monetization pathway, there's licensing and royalties, licensing, music, films, books, distributors, platforms, software licensing models, collecting royalties from collective management organizations. That is the most powerful thing, that you sign up with an organization who will collect for you. Because if you have music on TikTok or on Instagram and so on, it takes you, I think, 1,000 views to get $1. It's very little money you get for on TikTok and Instagram and so on. But if you are licensed with Spotify, YouTube, and so on, you make much more money because they are well organized and they have now very well organized softwares where you try to download it. I'm sure you have all tried it. It will say you have to register with us, you make a payment, and out of that money you get regularly an amount. If you have an account, if not, it's a little bit difficult because some of the platform for Nigeria have been banned now. The Nigerian musicians have to open accounts abroad, bank dollar or pound accounts to collect money. But you know, there are other things like merchandising of clothes. Maybe some of you are designers. Register your design, because if anybody copies your design, if anybody says, oh, I love this design, let me use it for a supermarket chain, you can become very rich as long as it is registered. But if it's not registered, they will steal it and copy. If you see that somebody, supermarket chain, etc., has put out your dress, and you have the evidence that you had designed it before, you can sue them for a lot of. Hello? Hello?
My
I didn't hear
apologies
you.
for that interference, sir. Someone just mistakenly left his or mic on. My apologies, sir.
All right. You see, let me give an example. I used to say to Nigerian musicians when they say, how do I secure my rights? I said, it's a very simple trick. Record your music on a CD or on a cassette, put it in an envelope, seal it, and then send it by post to yourself. The stamp of the post in a court case is the legal date that you had composed it. You understand the trick? So if somebody composes your music and puts it out, you hello? If somebody then one day plays your music, you can go to court and say, here, I have an envelope unopened. In a court, they will open it and they will play, and the seal of the post stamp shows at that time you had composed it and sent to you. And that's enough evidence, because not everybody has the money to register with the MCSN or COSON or lawyers, etc. But it's very important that you take care of your intellectual property. Anybody who writes a book, copyright it immediately. Don't just put it out on Amazon or you put it out on the internet hoping people will enjoy you, etc. Yes, they will enjoy you because it's free, but you must make money out of your intellectual property because you studied, you spend your time, so make money out of it. Do you want to play some out of my latest video quick so that becomes more interesting?
Yeah, yes, I can do that now, sir, if you
Okay,
allow
let me.
me. Okay.
Okay, that is my band and my son did the filming and the choreographing.
Okay, let me go ahead and play the video right now, sir. Yeah, here we go. It's about 3 minutes, 47 seconds. Sharing my screen. Um, uh, Let me play it now.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
That was amazing, sir.
Thank you.
Lovely.
So I saw somebody ask a question if I am from Yoruba land. That's funny. Okay, I would like now to go into protecting your intellectual property before monetizing. You have to register copyrights, trademarks, patents, use contracts, NDAs, that means non um,
Disclosure agreement?
exactly agreements, and licensing agreement. Work with IP lawyers for enforcement and dispute. It is good to spend a little bit money and go to a lawyer. Cover yourself. I give an example, true story. You may know Asha, the Nigerian girl who lives in France.
Yeah.
I was PMAN president then. She came with two other guys to my office and said, they are with question mark. And they are paying about 80% of the money goes to question mark. So I said to Mohammed and Silva Sadiq and Aisha, that is not correct because PMAN are partners with the World Body of Musician Union. We are observers because we were actually not a musician union, we were a musician employers association. And the law says you cannot take more than 28%. So I called the boss of question mark to my office. And I said, look, I prepared here a document. You release Asha, Silva Sadiq, and the third one from their contract because what you're doing is fraudulent. Looked at me and said, Teemac, you can't tell me what to do. I said, please, let's not argue. I've done a little bit my research on you. And before I blow up how you made your money, etc., sign it. And he signed it. Then I called Barclays in France, the French label where I had my first double single, you wouldn't believe it, in 1968. And they liked her music. They took her to France and she became a big star. And of course, her record contract then was something like 25%. So before a young artist just signs a contract because he wants to have a record contract, he wants to be a big star, go to a lawyer. It's worth it. Or go to MCSN where you get free advice. Go with your contract. Say to MCSN, is this fair? The MCSN will freely advise you and say, no, that's not a fair contract. And then you don't sign it. Don't sign away your rights. You know, superstars fell into the trap and later on they bought their rights back. They bought back their catalogs from Michael Jackson to many artists when they became very rich. They bought it back because when they were young, they had bad contracts. So try and avoid that. And all those of you who write books, do the same. Get legal advice, sign an agreement, get it registered, get a trademark on your books. As example, let me give you a case study. Musicians earn from streaming, touring, publishing rights. Streaming rights is new. You can call me the elder generations. We had no streaming rights because there was no internet existing. And to become famous, you had to tour, you had to do countless TV shows. Now there are some young people, they have a one-day hit, and suddenly everybody sees them on TikTok. They have millions of followers and so on. So it has become a little bit easier to become famous. But you have to consider that the competition has become very, very big. Everybody has a laptop. Everybody can download AI or some software, and without any knowledge, the AI can even write you a song. You sing into your laptop, and you have a song. I get a few dozens.
I need to take another person. Sorry, 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 sorry. My apologies, sir.
No problem. I get every week a couple of songs sent to my Instagram. By the way, my Instagram is Teemac underscore Iseli, Iseli. So they will send me CDs to listen to, and I would advise them. I don't have the time to listen to hundreds, but I do listen, and I would advise them and say, you see, a song must be fully phonetic. It must have rhythm, harmonies, and melodies. A lot of the music nowadays on the internet is just one line. It is, I don't know how to explain, it's not a composition anymore. Some of them are very catchy dance music, but there is no logic behind it. When you have a melody, you have a harmony behind the melody. It is not just one chord, and then you sing on top of it. Yeah, it may be interesting to the music illiterates, and we have millions of them, because not everybody has music education, or not everybody listens from youth to intelligent music. So some of the new artists get away with it. Some make a lot of money. But when you are a creator, you have to create something for, for history. Let your song become an evergreen. Some of my old music, you can Google me, is still being played on radio stations worldwide, because we were rehearsing. We were in the studio creating. We didn't just go with a piece of paper and then we tell a producer, give me a beat. And they would on the keyboard give you a beat, they give you a chord, etc. We compose songs. And if you go back to the 70s, 80s and listen carefully, the beauty of those songs, I even will go back further to the 60s, like Frank Sinatra, Strangers in the Night, Exchanging Glances. Listen to the harmonies, or one of my most favorite songs is, and now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I state it clear. I state my case, of which I'm certain. So it's a melody which is beautiful, and then the composer put a harmony behind it. And those songs will yield the composer, the arranger, and the lyricist good money their whole life. There are some people who live comfortably on one or two hit songs. So keep that in mind. Then I think I would like to ask, if it is possible, some of the listeners, viewers, if they have any questions. That's what I'm here for. So you, moderator, find out, let them put hand up, and I will answer. Okay?
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so very much, Dr. Teemac. It's a pleasure to have learned a lot from you. I've been taking quite a lot of notes on my side. Just to reiterate a few things while people put in their questions in the chat box. And yes, if you want to ask him questions directly by unmuting your mic, please feel free to do so. But while we're at it, I took a couple of notes like licensing, franchising, selling your IP rights, and getting an IP lawyer. I took down a few of these, and this actually cuts across everything that it's one's intellectual property. Okay, so while we are at it, please, do you have any questions? Anyone on the call? Feel free to use the chat box, or you can unmute your mic and ask your questions. Okay, Mr. Olorunfemi, please go ahead and unmute your mic.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Nice meeting you today.
Thank you.
I want to ask, so you mentioned a lot of things about protecting the rights of creatives, but one of the things that has always baffled me is those who are actually investing in the business, investing their money. So we've seen cases in Nigeria where a record label owner is the one taking all the risk, financial risk on a new artist. It can't be assured if the artist will eventually become big and then make a return on investments. Also, it's just spending, making sure that the artist has a very good brand image, and also putting the work of the artist out there. And today you have to do a lot of promotions on social media, shoot quality videos, but there's nobody protecting the finance, that the risk that the record label owner is taking. So I want to ask, because you mentioned things around having like a threshold of percentage an artist should sign. Is it fair? And people, especially people that are looking at going into music business, they are not artists. They just want to look at the music business, putting some new artists out there, but they see that getting the talent and then promoting them might not necessarily, it's just like a gamble. So is there anything to also protect their interest, especially when you sign a 2-year deal with an artist and the artist does not necessarily make get to the fame point until like the fourth year, and the person is no more under your record label, whereas all the money that you have spent on the person was part of the contributing factor that made the person famous, but the person is no more under your record label. So how do we balance that?
Well, thank you. That's a very interesting question. You can build a partnership, lawyers, agents, and distributors. You see, anybody who has a record label has to get advice by a professional. Because out of, let's say, 10 young artists you sign on, if 2 or 3 hit, you make your money back. Because you collect your investment for studio costs, etc., through mechanical rights. That's the sale of the music, sale of the CDs. You make that money, and then you pay the artist when you have recovered your money. You cannot interfere in the composition rights. That belongs to the artist. But you sign a contract where you say, okay, I put down 10 million naira, studio costs, promotion, etc. Until I have recovered the 10 million, I give you some money to survive. We do concerts where I take up to 25, 18, 28%. You're not allowed more. So if you do concerts, if you have promotion, if you get people to sponsor, you as a businessman make your money back. Of course, you will not promote somebody you know from the beginning, oh, this guy has no chance to make it. Or some record label, they find some beautiful looking girls who cannot even sing. That's your risk. You get a professional to advise you. And then, very important, when you go into the studio, always get a voice coach to work with the artist. Or if it's instrumentalist, get a professional to be there, because the tone is important. I am advising PJ Records, that's Peter Dunia Record. I have Modola at the moment as my main artist. I do at least an hour a day on my light ring. I work on her voice. She does her A E I O U, A E I O U, la 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 la. Because most of the upcoming artists, they cannot even sing a scale. They cannot sing la 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 la. Simple scale they can't sing. They can just sing 4-5 tone, a little bit, etc. So you, as the label owner, cannot just work on your own. You have to take advice from professionals. Get a professional musician with a good ear and who is educated to advise you, because a lot of trash is being produced which never makes money. So you cannot blame the artist. Every artist wants to be a superstar. One day I had a guy coming to the PMAN office when I was president. He called me up and say, I'm a superstar, call me back. I said, oh, that's funny. So I called him back and said, if you're a superstar, you can't even pay your phone call. Come and see me. So came, from a Jekunle, a good-looking young guy, dreadlocks, his pants hanging down, and he brought the CD. I said to myself, oh yeah, he has a big ego because all the girls in a Jekunle must be telling him he's the most handsome. But the CD was just it was just trash. There was nothing boogie baby baby boogie boogie boogie. I said to him, you know what? Come back in 10 years. And he looked at
Oh
me and
my
said,
God, that was
oh
mean.
yes. I said, you know what? I played the flute from the age of 7, 8, and at 22 I had my degree. At 35, I made my $20 million, but because I worked every day, there's no shortcut.
Yeah.
So a record label has to understand the logic. Have 10 artists. 2, 3 can make you your money back. But if you just choose because the girls are good looking or the guys could be interesting, no. Have professionals to advise you. Do they have the tone in the voice? Send them back to voice coaching. There's the Musan Center. There is SPAN, Society of Performing Arts. There are music classes where you train them to have the tone, because in the recording studio, even your pronunciation you have to work on. So nobody has to tell me, oh, I invested into artists, I lost my money. Then I say, well, I'm sorry, you're stupid, you deserve it. Look, there's a little gamble in it, but you can calculate your gamble in having professional advice. Everything is professionalism. If you bring me 10 young people, they do that. There was one record label 2 weeks ago in VI. They had a presentation, young artists singing with a voice coach. And in the end, the record label owner said, have you taken notes? I say, yeah, out of the 12 you presented, there are 2 who have a chance. He looked at me disappointed. I say, yes. The rest, go send them and say, we month 3 hours a day. We professional, when we grow up, we do 5, 6 hours a day, from close mouth singing to open mouth on the flute scales and etudes, etc. 2, 3, 4 hours a day, and suddenly karma pays you back because you have paid up your dues and you become good. There are very few who are just born good, but even those have to work, because in the studio all the flaws can be heard, that they sing out of tune and you have to use software to correct it, or you have to use auto tune to fake it because they can't sing. So you're right, there's a little risk involved, but you can reduce the risk in having professional advise you. I have not met any record label owner in the world person made big money if he's intelligent and gets advice.
Thank you so very much, sir. That's amazing. So, doctor, I actually have a question. Um, we,
Go ahead.
yeah, what are the ways we can invest in this creative industry? How we can invest in this. I am not the I'm not a musician, and I don't claim to be one, but I like to invest. A couple of us here like to invest in something. Um, I know it's not like a defined kind of investment if you have artists and all of that, but what ways can one, invest in this creative industry, in this music industry, or in something that can, of course, give returns, and it can put one's mind at rest, especially in this space. It's one space we've never invested in. I mean, we've invested in different industries, tech startups, in stocks, in mutual funds, in euro bonds, in agriculture, in real estate. But you see, this entertainment industry, it's one place we've not been able to crack. What can you
Oh,
say
yeah.
about that, sir?
The entertainment industry is the second biggest business in the world after armament, wars, guns, etc. It's the second biggest industry.
Yeah.
Believe me. Now, why? Because people need entertainment. People want to listen to music when they are tired, when they're in the cars, they want to go to concerts. It is a tremendous industry. But in Nigeria and in every country where the economy is down, show business is down. The entertainment industry is a reflection of the health of a country. 5, 6 years ago, you could get sponsors, Star Brewery, Guinness, whoever. They will put money into a show, into a promotion. They did not need to make the money back because they have a budget for promotion. And let me leak you now the biggest secret, which is unfortunately not used much. Since Festac 77, there is an edict that's called the Endowment into the Arts and Education. Every bank, every company can deduct from the tax up to 10% of their pre-tax profit. That means all those banks who say, oh, I made 10 billion profit this year, which is, of course, much more, 100 billion. They could take 10% and give away to the entertainment industry and get a receipt and deduct it from the tax because it's the endowment into the arts and education. If you want to build university schools and somebody puts in 100 million, he can write it off tax because the law exists.
Wow.
But very few people know that law. I have applied it with the Muson Center. I'm one of the founder. I've applied it with the one children's home with Swiss people. I have also put it forward for the Red Cross. Even if you donate in your will monies to the entertainment, it's tax-free because the law says so. So now if you go to a promoter or you go, the best things are actually used to be MTN, Glow, Airtel. Yes, they have multi-billion-dollar budget for entertainment. They do all those shows, you know, like idols, this and that, etc. This is a write-off. They don't need to make the money back because they have a budget. It's a tax write-off. They write it off the tax. So that money can be channeled into the entertainment industry. Now, let's say you are a good friend to somebody who has a brewery. Is go to him and say, look, I would like to have to promote this guy, this girl. They are very talented. They can be the face of your beer. And you give me 20 million naira for the first double single or single. And then the brewery will say, okay, I make a deal. You sign an agreement. And then you use the money of a sponsor, not your own money. Use the money of a sponsor. Go in a reasonable studio, get a reasonable songwriter, and make sure you have a balance, 2, 3 songs that at least 1 or 2 will make it to impress your sponsor. And when your sponsor hears the song on the radio all over, and it is even said sponsored by this and this brewery, or whenever you have concerts, you mention the name. I had a deal with E.F.I Bank when I was PIMA president. They gave a little bit money for the World Music Day every year. NTA from 6 at night till 6 in the morning. And I brought E.F.I Bank people. They were able to speak every 2 hours about the products, about what they do for young people. Come and open bank accounts. For young people, we don't charge you, blah, blah, blah. So I paid them back for the 10 million they gave me to have, that's 15 years ago, to have the World Music Day. And in return, they could sell the products. I do the same with the American embassy, consulate. Sometimes they do a Joy of Jazz festival and so on. And they will then film it for the American network or Reuters. And because it goes out of many platforms and they watch it, people pay to watch. So they make the money back. If they spend 25, 40, 50 thousand dollars, it's no money to them, but it gives a festival. On the 5th of October, Winston Marsalis is coming to Nigeria with his 28-piece band at the Landmark. And again, an American company is sponsoring it, but they get worldwide publicity for it.
Yeah.
So you balance up. If you have enough money and the love of the arts, then you do it and you can make your money back. But it's better to spend other people's money who are big corporations who have a lot of money to write off also for publicity.
Yeah.
So you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I do, sir. Thank you so much, sir. All right. Any other question before we allow doctor to go? It's already late into Sunday. Tomorrow is another working day. Any final questions from anyone? If there are no questions, I do not see any hands raised, and I do not see any questions in the chat box. Okay, so doctor, someone was asking a very um lightweight question. Are you a Nigerian from Yoruba land?
Well, I have a joke. Some people say I look Arab or I look Indian. Well, my mother was a Shakiri princess from the
Mm,
Omatshola family, and she had a very huge family, like uh, Remi Tinubu's mother, Daisy Danjuma's mother, my mother are half sisters. So the
wow.
first lady is my cousin. So that's my Shakiri. My father was a Swiss consul and then ambassador to Nigeria. So I'm half Swiss, half Nigerian. I have a Swiss passport and a Nigerian passport. I speak fluent French, Italian, German, Swiss, English, and a little bit Shakiri. Well, unfortunately, I'm not Yoruba. I can swear in Yoruba, but that's about the only thing I can do. If somebody gets on my nerves, I say, "Oh, Rio da." But
Uh,
yes, but I'm not a tribalist. My first wife was Shakiri. The second one was Yoruba, and the third one was Rivers. So um, I don't
yeah.
believe in tribalism.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for giving a very good answer to that, even though that's not actually related to that's more of a personal question and not, but we really do appreciate your time and attention. Please, people, help me appreciate Dr. Teemac Omatshola Iseli for giving us his time, his attention, sharing his wisdom with us. Please, you can put in an emoji in the chat, or you can, send a chat just to appreciate him. Thank you so very much, Dr. Timac. It's a pleasure. We don't take this for granted. You could have been doing something else, but you chose to give us your time. And we also do appreciate the fact that you still honored our invitation. We could have had this last month, but you still, said, I'm still going to do this for you guys. So, sir, we really do appreciate you on behalf of everyone who is on the call, the executives of the financial club. We really want to say thank you so very much, sir. We will
Thank
keep
you.
in touch and we will always learn from you going forward as we
And
also
and
start our
please
continue our journey in life. Yeah. Okay.
join me on Facebook and Instagram. Unfortunately, I was hacked. So from a couple of 100,000, I started again with about 24,000 members. It is TMAC,
Mm-hmm.
TEEMAC underscore Iseli. Easily is my Swiss surname. I would love to see you there. Send me a message and see my music. I put in where I am, a little bit music. It's quite interesting. Okay. And I thank you. It was a pleasure being with you for 1 hour.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Really do appreciate.
Take
And
care.
thank you, sir. And to every one of you, thank you so much for giving us your time. We want to wish you a fantastic new week ahead and, of course, a great month of October. Have a wonderful night rest. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.